We are live.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get it. Welcome to another episode of Chill with Chill. Obviously, the super sub is back again. Your host is J Rob today. I'm here with my Unc Chill. I'm excited to talk hoops. Bob is out here changing basketball lives in Mexico, so he can't be here with us today. But we still got an action-packed show. Chill, how you doing, my brother, on this lovely Saturday afternoon?
I think the sub. I think the sub logic. I think that's underrated. I mean, J Rob is not just a rotation guy. Like J Rob is better than a rotation player, yo.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know, J Rob is not like the 8th or the 9th man on the crew. Okay, J Rob is much better than a rotation guy. He just like we got a bomb squad, so it's hard to get run when you're on a bomb squad. It is. It's difficult to get run when you're on a bomb squad. You got to be something serious. J Rob is serious.
I just want to be like Jordan Clarkson, I want to be like Jordan Clarkson, Lou Will. Just come on, give buckets, Jamal Crawford, stay into my role. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, chill. We got a great slew of topics. Obviously, after our first time, we're gonna throw that link in there so y'all can talk to Chill. But let's get into it. So, according to Dwight Howard, he put out his top 10 Lakers defenders of all time. Yep. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on this because obviously I know you've seen every single one of these players on this list at their peaks. So I think you could give a lot of knowledge. So on Dwight Howard list, it consisted of his top 10 all-time Lakers defender. At 1, it was Anthony Davis.
Right.
2, Michael Cooper. 3, Wilt Chamberlain. 4, Kobe Bryant. 5, Jabbar. 6, Worthy. 7, Metta World Peace, or for those who don't know, Ron Artest.
Yeah.
8, Andrew Bynum. 9, himself. Dwight Howard says himself is at 9. Right. And then at 10, he goes Shaquille O'Neal. Right. So what are your first takeaways from this list? And what's the I really want to know, what's the grimiest thing on this list first before you get into dissecting this whole thing? What's like I can't stand it. Yeah, I can't stand this. Get this out of here. What's that? What's the first thing on the list that's like, oh, this gross?
Anthony Davis, the best defensive player in Laker history. No, he is not the best defensive player in Laker history. We could start the conversation right there. But before we actually get into it, I gotta remember who the source is, J Rob. And the source is Dwight Howard reposted this.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not like this is coming from other reliable sources. This is Dwight Howard. That's where this is coming from. So immediately when I see this, my troll alert antennas are up. That's what I'm thinking about when I immediately see this. Because number one, when you're talking about being the best ever for a franchise, the first thing at the top of the list that matters is consistency.
I agree.
Well, how can you be consistent, J Rob? The way you're consistent is you're there a long time. Like you're not consistent for a year. You're not consistent for 3 years. And we're talking about all-time greats for franchises, right?
Right.
You're a football guy. Why is Eli Manning considered the best quarterback for the Giants?
I mean, he beat an undefeated Tom Brady, and he beat the greatest quarterback ever twice in 2 Super Bowls. And
not once, J Rob.
Twice.
He did it twice.
And he was. I'm not gonna lie, it was the closest thing I've seen to like how like Jimmy Butler took over a playoff run. Say what you want about Eli Manning during the regular season. Those 2 playoff runs and those trips to finals, he was phenomenal.
And don't leave out the moment. And don't leave out the fact, J Rob, that he was there for 16 years. Yeah. It wasn't like he was there for 3 or 4 years. He was there for 16 years.
Right.
So when you're talking about being an all-time great for a franchise, number one, consistency matters. And the way you're consistent is you got to be there for a long time. Anthony Davis is going into year 5. The Lakers have been around for 70 plus years. You telling me in the 70 plus years that the Lakers have been around, a dude who only played 4 years for the Lakers is the best defensive player they've ever had? No, absolutely not. So what I do is I'm looking at the list, and again, I think about longevity.
Right.
And not only do I think about longevity, I think about consistency, and then I think about production. What did you produce while you were there? Right. So that moves Bryant right to the front of the line.
I agree.
Now, I struggled a little bit with Bryant and Jabbar.
Okay.
And the reason why I struggle with Bryant and Jabbar because I'm an advocate that rim protecting is much playing in the post, and playing at the rim are much more difficult than playing on the perimeter as a defender. And the reason why is because I'm the last line of defense. Here's why I feel like that, J-Rob.
Wow.
On the perimeter, you got help. So Steph Curry, when you're dealing with screens, when you're dealing with double teams, you got help. J-Rob, when we on the block, it's you and me and the rim.
Right.
I don't have anybody there to clean up my mess.
Right.
If Steph Curry gets past whomever he gets past and he's coming downhill, he's got that big guy in the paint to clean up his mess.
Right.
He's got that dirty work guy to clean up whoever. If I get beat, whether Donovan Mitchell gets beat, whether Shea Alexander, any of these guys get beat, I got that big guy behind me to clean up my mess.
Right.
When it's just you and me on the block, it's just you and me. And if I get beat, there's nobody down here to help me. So I kind of struggled a bit with Jabbar and Bryant at 1 and 2.
Right.
I did struggle with them, but I thought about how long Bryant was there, and I thought about how long he did it.
Right.
And I had to go with him just off the strength that he did it a little bit longer. I still feel like Jabbar was better rim protector, better rebounder.
Mm-hmm.
Kobe might be a bit of maybe slightly a bit of an overrated defender. Maybe that's not that. He might be slightly an overrated defender, but that doesn't mean that he still ain't at the top of the list. So I struggled with those two, but I put Bryant at the top, and I think Bryant's at the top. Go ahead, J-Rob.
No, I wanted to ask you just because I wanted to dive into the perimeter defense versus the post conversation that you're having because I do think there's and this is obviously I was a defensive back in college. Like that's what I played. That's what I made my money at. I was playing corner. So I got a lot of respect for these perimeter defenders, the Mikal Bridges, the Jared Vanderbilts, the Marcus Smarts, the Derek Whites of the world, because they got to go out on that island and move them puppies up and down. Moving laterally in space is really, really hard, especially in today's game. So my question more to you is like, I understand what you're saying, but don't you think it takes, do you think in today's game though, guarding the perimeter is a little bit harder than at the time when Jabbar and Kobe were playing? Just because one, I think the rules are a little bit more advantageous to the offensive player. And I don't think players now are another guy like Lou Dort, shout out to David Brown. Lou Dort is another guy who fights hard on the perimeter. But do you think like obviously now the NBA players are not driving in order to go to the rim. I feel like they're guarding, they're driving in order to step back and shoot threes now.
Right.
So my question to you, do you think the game now from a perimeter standpoint is harder, or do you still feel like even in today's game, guarding the rim is harder than the perimeter?
I still feel like at the rim, that's your last line of defense. Don't get me wrong, J-Rob. A guy who can accurately shoot the basketball from 25 feet off the bounce.
Right.
There's really not much defense for that.
Right.
And but the big man, Joker, Embiid, Anthony Davis, when those guys get on the box, Giannis, when those guys get on the box and they get mismatches or they get one-on-one with guys, they're pretty impossible to deal with. And Giannis is a prime example of a guy who, as good as Drew Holiday is as a defender, he takes more chances as a perimeter defender. Why?
Right.
Because I got Giannis behind me. Because I got Brook Lopez behind me. You as a defensive back, well, I'm pretty confident that as a defensive back, don't get me wrong, I feel like playing a defensive back, having to deal with a guy on the perimeter is ridiculous.
It's hard.
But I think that you'd be a little bit more aggressive if you got Ed Reed behind you.
Yeah, if I got a safety, 100%. I got a safety behind me. I'm playing this. I'm cheating a little bit. I'm cheating a little bit.
If you got Palomalo behind you, you're playing a little bit more aggressive, as opposed to you got an average safety behind you, and you got this guy in front of you that you got to do your best to keep in front of you. Well, when I think about the big fella, and I think about on the block, well, shit, it ain't nobody else back here but me and Joel Embiid, and I'm 6'10", and if he gets me on the block, by the time he gets the ball, whoever's coming from the weak side, well, you're too late. Because he's already 3 feet away from the basket, so he can drop it in. So I say that to say, when I think about Jabbar being the all-time defender in Laker history, I struggle with putting Bryant ahead of him, even though Bryant's been there longer And he's got more all-league defensive knowledge, which
Right.
I care about being.
Right.
I care about accolades, and he's got more all-league defensive knowledge, and he's been.
I agree.
I think he's in the top 5 all time in steals with the Lakers, and I think he's in the top 5 all time in rebounding, and I think he's in the top 5 all time in shot blocking. Even though Jabbar is at the top of the list in rebounding, I think Elgin Baylor is ahead of him in rebounding with the Lakers, and he's the all-time shot block leader. When he retired, J-Rob, not with the Lakers, when he retired, he was the all-time shot block leader in NBA history, numero uno.
Right.
In 14 of those 20 years, he played with the Lakers. So I struggle with Jabbar and Bryant in terms of who's the best defender, but I would give it to Bryant because of longevity. But after that, I don't struggle with anybody else. Chamberlain.
Michael Cooper at 2 is okay with you?
No, I'm moving Michael. I'm moving Michael Cooper over, and I'm struggling with Michael Cooper, moving him over to 3, simply because he did win the Defensive Player of the Year. The difference with that, though, J-Rob, is he did it with Alex Caruso numbers. He played like 26 minutes a game, something like that. Which I struggle with. I struggle with that too. But we're talking about being the all-time. We're talking about being an all-time great Lake. I think Michael Cooper's an 8-time All-League defender, something like that. So when we're talking about Michael Cooper as a perimeter defender, he's one of the best perimeter defenders of his generation. Right. So I'm cool with Michael Cooper being a top 3 defender of all time. Chamberlain, on the other hand, the fact that he only played 5 seasons with the Lakers. 69, 70, 70, 71, 71, 72, 72. So I'm sorry, 4 seasons. 68, 5 seasons. He got there in 68, 69. So playing 5 years.
8-time all defensive team, 5 first-team selections for Michael Cooper.
I mean, that's difficult. And we're talking about an era where he had to deal with Bird. He had to deal with Alex English. He had to deal with Bernard King. He had to deal with all of these great perimeter players in terms of bucket getters, and he was holding his own against them. He was holding his own against them. Clyde Drexler, Michael Jordan, you name them. You name them. He had to switch on to Dominique Wilkins. He had to play him too. So when you're talking about all-time greats at that in that franchise, Michael Cooper is at the top of the list. Again, when I think about Chamberlain, I got to move him down simply off the strength that he didn't play with the Lakers long enough. He was only there 5 seasons. Don't get me wrong. In the 5 seasons that he played there, he was phenomenal. I think his last season playing with the Lakers, I think he averaged 19 rebounds a game at 37 years old. I mean, J-Rob, if we're being honest, the league leader pulls down 13 today. Chamberlain averaged 19.
That's ridiculous.
Chamberlain averaged 19. So I got Shaq ahead of Chamberlain. And the reason why I got Shaq ahead of Chamberlain, again, the amount of time that he was there, and the time, the 8 years that Shaq played there, he was an elite defender almost half the time that he was there.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Shaq's the 10th best. I thought 10 was didn't really seem like it made sense to me to have Shaq as the 10th best defender on the team.
Well, first of all, let's be clear about something. Number one, in the 99-2000 season, and a lot of people won't talk about it, Shaq finished 2nd in Defensive Player of the Year that year, behind Alonzo Mourning. So it wasn't like he was an average defender. No. And those 3 years that they won the NBA championship in back-to-back seasons, Shaq was an all-league defender all 3 of those years. Yeah. So he was playing at an elite level. He still holds the record, by the way. I think he still holds the record to this day in 2023 for the most blocks in an NBA Finals game. It was against the Nets. I think he had 8 blocks in that game. In that one game against Todd. Okay, it was Todd McCullough. So what? It still was in the NBA Finals. Right. It still was in the NBA Finals. So I'm good with Shaq being at 4. If you want to put Chamberlain at 5, I'll concede to Chamberlain at 5.
Okay.
Does James Worthy go to 6? I don't think James Worthy is ahead of Jerry West. I don't think
Jerry West didn't even make the list.
That's the other thing that's blowing my mind. That Jerry, I don't think James Worthy was a better defender than Jerry West. I think Jerry West, I think he was a 4-time All-League defender. Not only was he a 4-time All-League defender, he was integral in them winning the championship. Finally, them doing it. Jerry West was one of the best defensive guards in the game. Don't get me wrong. James Worthy at that position, having to deal with the guys that he had to deal with, having to deal with Alex English, having to deal with Dominique Wilkins, having to deal with Cedric Maxwell, having to deal with Kevin McHale, having to deal with these guys and holding his own. I can appreciate that, but I still feel like there's other guys. Like I'm not sure James Worthy was a better defender than Eddie Jones. How is Eddie Jones not on this list?
Right.
I mean, Eddie Jones was clearly one of the best defensive guards in the game, and I don't think that's a question of who some of the best defensive guards were during the 90s. I mean, Eddie showed up in the 1994 season, 93. He was in the 93 or the 94 draft, and he played 5 years with the Lakers, 94, 95, 95, 96, 96, 97, 97, 98. I think he played 5 years with the Lakers. And with that being said, 4 or 5 years, I still think he's one of the best defenders with the Lakers. He didn't play as long as Anthony Davis did. He didn't play as long as Chamberlain did, but I still think he's in that conversation. AC Green. Meta World Peace. He had that one season, the year he got on the Lakers when they won the championship. I think he was in year 11. He was out of his defensive prime, J-Rob. I want to make sure we clear on that. It wasn't like he was on the crew and they got Indiana Meta World Peace or Indiana Ron Artest, who was at the top of the league, arguably the best two-way player in the game, where he was in that conversation where he was winning Defensive Player of the Year. The Lakers didn't get that guy. No. And not only did they not get that guy, they got a lesser version of him. So, with that being said, I think he comes off the list. Dwight Howard, you played 5 minutes for the Lakers.
He shouldn't be on the list at all, actually.
You played 5 minutes for the Lakers. You played that one season in the 11-12 season. You played that one season where you led the league in rebounding. The other 2 seasons that you was on the crew, you were a rotation player.
And then remember, in the 2020 finals, he was integral in the Western Conference finals. But in the finals, they didn't even use him. And that's no offense to him at all. He was just better for a different series than another series. But that still matters that, bro, they didn't even use you in every pivotal moment of that run. So I'm like, how could you even put yourself at 9 or 10? So can I ask you this? If Anthony Davis, obviously he's been a Laker for 4 or 5 seasons now. If Anthony Davis could win a Defensive Player of the Year award either this year or next year, and obviously I'm assuming the next year be an All NBA defender. Where would can he move up on the list? Because obviously, even I think you and I both are still willing to acknowledge that he's not number 1 currently, but he does have the toolbox and the skill set to jump the list. Obviously, his impact still needs to continue to develop.
I think that if he continues doing what he's doing,
he's definitely top 10. I'll say he's top 10 for sure, in my opinion.
I'm having a difficult time. Like I think he's right outside the top 5. And the only issue just with him and Chamberlain is longevity. That's it. Like you got to do it a little bit longer. The fact that he hasn't done it for that long. So if he were to, let's say, I think in the 2019-2020 season, I think he finished 2nd in Defensive Player of the Year that year. Now, if he could mirror another season like that and possibly win the Defensive Player of the Year, I don't think it'll be difficult for me to put him ahead of Bryant and Jabbar all time on the Laker list this early or in the next year.
Yeah, same. I agree.
If I can get another 2, 3, 4 more years at this level defensively, I think we can have a different conversation. I do. I think we can have a different conversation. But to the point, J-Rob, I think Bryant is at the top of the list. I think Jabbar is at the top of the list. Michael Cooper is there. Shaq is there. Then I'm going to add Chamberlain. Jerry West is in there.
Jerry West. I would say Jerry West.
Jerry West.
Do you want to go AC Green?
Yeah, I got to go AC Green ahead of Eddie Jones. I do.
Yeah.
I because in terms of a dirty work guy.
Yeah. Me too. I agree.
In terms of a dirty work guy, and here's the problem, though. I think AC Green. J-Rob, I can't go AC Green, and the reason why, because he played the same amount of time with the Lakers as Eddie Jones did.
True.
And Eddie Jones did more as a defender. I mean, they got AC Green in '85.
What about any of them Kobe run teams when they won with when him and Shaq were on that run? They won 3 straight. Anybody from those teams? Maybe an Ariza, maybe Trevor Ariza. What about Derek Fisher? Anybody on those teams that you think was nobody that you think for them teams that could make this list?
Nah. And don't get me wrong. I think Derek Fisher was a was a bulldog when it came.
Yeah, I'm gonna say he was a bulldog. Yeah,
I think Derek Fisher was a bulldog when it came to when it came to defense, right?
Right.
But with that being said, we're talking about the all-time great Lakers, not all-time great players.
Yeah,
we're talking about the dudes who played for the Lakers. Prime example, J-Rob is LeBron James is better than Dwayne Wade. Dwayne 100%. Wade is a better Miami Heat than LeBron James.
See, I would argue that's not true to me though.
And and I can appreciate your logic. Don't get me wrong.
No, I think delivering to me, and this is like how I look at it. Maybe I'm wrong. This is how I look at Kawhi Leonard. Like Kawhi Leonard to me is the greatest Toronto Raptor. Even though he was there for 1 year, I know they'll probably put Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, Vince Carter above Kawhi Leonard. But I promise you, most Raptors fans are more appreciative of the impact that Kawhi Leonard put in that organization because his ability to deliver them a championship. Mm-hmm. I think people put more stake into that. You know what I'm saying? This is no slight to either two of those guys, but I do think in terms of like the longevity of their careers, they'll be like the GOAT Raptors to some people because of the longevity part. But Kawhi Leonard brought the ring home. You know, like he was the driving force behind the ring, and to me, championships last longer than players do.
That's they do, and I can appreciate that logic. But the problem that I'm having is that so much goes into winning the championship.
I agree.
And what I mean when I say so much goes into winning it, I mean there's a lot of things that have to go your way. Being good ain't good enough. Right. You definitely need some things to go your way. So when I got a guy in Kawhi Leonard who, you know, in the 1 year he shows up, he is the difference. 100% he is the difference. Yeah. But don't get me wrong, J-Rob. You know, the foundation of this house was built before you showed up.
Yeah.
You just finished it. We built most of this.
Not true.
We built most of this before you showed up. Now you show up, and now we're stronger. And then after we finish building it, you bounce.
But he was always going there to be a mercenary. He really was doing a mercenary job. He was doing a mercenary job.
Which he did. And with James in Miami, I feel like a guy who he's the only league MVP that they've ever had. He's the only league MVP.
Yeah. He had two of them.
And he had them in back-to-back seasons, by the way. He's the only league MVP that they've ever had. And he's the only he's got 2 finals MVPs.
4 all first team all NBAs.
Right.
He took him to 4 finals appearances?
Right. So don't get me wrong. In the 4 years where he was there, he was phenomenal. But Dwayne Wade, when you think about what Dwayne Wade did, the all-time scorer in Miami history, I think he's in the top 5 all-time in assists in Miami Heat history. So, I mean, they're going to build a statue of Dwayne Wade outside the arena one day.
As they should.
Absolutely, they should.
You are the all-time Miami Heat. You are Wade County. I give you that, but you're not the best player to put on a Miami Heat jersey. I'm standing on that. I mean, the proof to me is in the pudding. Like, just look at LeBron's career. I mean, I feel like if you just the most iconic player for the franchise will forever be Dwayne Wade, but the best player for the franchise is not Dwayne Wade.
That's fair because again, I think about what you built while you were there, and if no Dwayne Wade, James doesn't show up to Miami. In fact, that's the only reason why he showed up.
That's the only reason he went.
That's the only reason why he showed up there. So with that being said, don't get me wrong. I am an advocate. I'm a James guy. If anybody knows me, they know I'm a James guy, and he's better than Dwayne Wade. But Dwayne Wade, as a Miami Heat, what he did for that organization, how he carried that organization, how far they went. I mean, if we being honest, if Chris Bosh doesn't get those blood clots in his leg in 2015. I think we might see the Miami Heat in the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, that might have been something. This is my only thing. Listen, all you Miami Heat fans, I know it's called Wade County. I said he's the most iconic player to come out. Yep. Probably more beloved than LeBron James in the city of Miami. But he's not the best player. And I'm gonna put it in perspective. Listen, after the 2006 championship for the Miami Heat, what type of team were they prior? After? What were they after?
They were an average team.
They weren't good. They were an average team with a great player for consistently after that.
2.5 years.
And for 2.5 years, they weren't
2.5, 3 years.
They weren't worth nothing. They were a middle of the pack team in the East. And this is no slight to Dwayne Wade. I'm just putting it in perspective. You know, they were middle of the pack team. So obviously, for those who say Wade was carrying us, I feel you. But after the championship run, you know, he started to fall off. That's not to say that's not a slight against him. All I'm saying is the best player for the organization to me is still LeBron James. But moving on to our next topic. First things first, let me throw this link in here. So if y'all want to come chop it up with us, y'all could come get y'all takes off. But so Chilltown, Milwaukee's head coach Adrian Griffin mentions that Terry Stotts steps down as the Bucks assistant days after an incident during shoot around. There was a essentially there was a brief incident. There was a brief incident that occurred during shoot around in a preseason game versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Hold on, I got a quote here from Adrian Griffin, who told, "It caught all of us off guard, of course, but again, you just support him. He was a terrific guy. I learned a lot from him in a very short time. He was really good at what he does. He made a decision, a personal decision, and we just have to respect that." Obviously, I think reporters asked more questions about it. Griffin just said, "You have to ask Terry. He's a great coach. I really enjoy getting to know him as a person. It was his decision. I just wish him the best." So, what do you think of this decision? And what do you think of this whole situation?
J-Rob, it's nothing worse than working with somebody that wants your job.
Yeah.
It's nothing worse than working around somebody or being around somebody that wants to be in your spot, that looks at you like, I'm better than you with this. And I think that that's all this is, more than anything. I think that he looked at Adrian Griffin like, I'm better than you at this. This is actually my job. You just have it right now. I can do a better job with these dudes than you do. I know how to manage these dudes. I know how to handle these dudes better than you. And with that being said, that ended up being a problem with Adrian Griffin. That ended up being a problem with Adrian Griffin. Because at the end of the day, J-Rob, you are a subordinate. I'm the assistant.
Yeah.
I'm the assistant coach.
It is what it is. Yeah, I agree.
I'm the assistant coach. And regardless of how I feel, I mean, Ty Lue had to get in line when he was in Cleveland, even though they ultimately pushed him to the front of the line, but he had to get in line before that happened. Terry Stotts, on the other hand, he's coached Damian Lillard for all of the years that he coached him. He's been around Damian Lillard for all of the years that he's been around him. With him doing all of that stuff, I know this guy. I know his game. I know how to handle him. I know how he runs. And I think that you using him wrong. Not only do I feel like you using him wrong, I think you're doing this whole thing wrong. And because I think you're doing this whole thing wrong, there's a respect factor that he's losing for him. Because I think I'm better than you. And there's nothing worse than having somebody in your house that wants your spot. Nothing worse than that.
I agree. I agree. And I think the other thing too about it is like, this reminds me of the Dallas Cowboys with Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore. Obviously, I think there was a conversation within the office, like, maybe Kellen Moore could be the successor to the Dallas Cowboys. And I think that's one of the reasons why he got moved to the Chargers is because, one, I think if the Chargers fire Brandon Staley, they'll move him to Kellen Moore. But I think you hit it on the nose. When your potential replacement or somebody who believes they're better than you within the building, I do personally think that creates a divide. Because you know how it goes, Chill. Even on the football teams, on the basketball teams you played for, I know you can remember a coach or two that you were closer to than the head coach. And if you're one of these top players on the team, like let's say you're Giannis or Dame, and you're close to Stouts, you're close to him, you're probably saying things to him like, I wish Griffin was doing this instead of this. And now, and it becomes you almost you get in that ear, you start to develop like players begin to pick sides. That happens 100%. And so I agree. Like I'm personally with you, Chill, in the sense of I personally think if you have somebody in your locker room that believes that they are as good at doing your job or better, I think you should. I think it is important to make sure you move them. Out the building.
And the other issue is we're also talking about a Milwaukee Bucks team that they just got Damian Lillard on the crew. So we still got to figure this thing out, right? We still not sure how this dynamic between two ball dominant guys is going to work. We still don't know what these guys are going to be. What we do know is we know that individually they are phenomenal. Us as coaches, We got to get on the same page to figure out how we going to handle these dudes. So it's obvious that Terry Stout did not believe in the philosophy of what Adrian Griffin was doing, because if he did, he would have, none of this stuff would have gotten out. None of it. Because I've seen coaches who've been on benches with other coaches where I think I'm better than him, but I'm going to play my cards the right way.
Right.
Stout, on the other hand, it seems like he just couldn't take it. Yo, I'm better than this dude, and I'm not listening to a word.
Yeah, but that's corny though. Because I'm gonna tell you where I find it to be really corny, and this is
that is corny.
And I'm gonna tell you why. And the only reason why it's corny is because and Leaf and Emmanuel, I would love for y'all to chime in. The reason why it's corny to me, Chill, is just because I look at situations like, yo, there's people out there that would kill for your opportunity, and you trying to self-sabotage it from the inside because of your ego. And there's somebody who would easily take your job, be a part of the system, be a team player, understand their role on this team as a coach. And I think those things matter. So I feel like that's the thing that annoys me the most. And then two, you divide a locker room. You know, divided, to me, I feel like talent matters, but the camaraderie point of sports, especially team sports, that to me matters the most. And if you create divides where you got guys in your locker room on sides, I think that creates a lot more flaws and more trouble than needed. Leaf, what are your thoughts?
Well, all right, y'all talking about Adrian Griffin, right? From the Bucks, yeah.
Terry Stouts deciding to resign as assistant.
Oh wow, that's
You didn't hear about that?
No, I didn't. That's
wait. What? Let's forget Terry Stouts for a second, because it's obvious there's something else on your mind. What's on your mind, Leaf?
What's on your mind, Leaf?
Really? What's on your mind? Yeah, what's on your mind, Leaf?
Because he came up here to talk about something.
Right, he clearly came up here to talk about something.
He wasn't even thinking about what he was talking about.
What's on your mind, Leaf?
I wasn't thinking about what I was talking about. I was still, what was still on my mind. And I'm still, because I had to ask you a question a couple of times in the chat. I was like, yo, because you had said, yo, you thought it was a thought. You was like, when owner Dan Gilbert was in the office or whatever, and I think Griffin had came in and he was a GM.
See, that's the problem right there. That's the problem right there,
out.
Leaf. That's the problem right there, Leaf. You think it was Griffin. Remember what I said to you. I said that everybody, no matter who it is, whether it's the president of the United States, whether it's the janitor in the building that you work in, they all got that one person. I never said it was Griffin.
Never said it was Griffin.
I never said it. I didn't say it was Griffin. I didn't say it was anybody. But whoever Dan Gilbert's man is, that one guy that he listens to, that's the guy. I don't know if it was Griffin, but it's that one guy, because he's got one guy that he listens to. He doesn't do everything that this guy says. I don't think it's I don't think it's Griffin.
So you think it's somebody like real tight knit?
And I saw your comment when you said like some random dude. Yo, first of all, guys in places like that, they don't deal with just random dudes. They deal with dudes that they know where the bodies are buried at. They know where the phone numbers are. They know these are the dudes that's who Dan Gilbert's man is that walked into that room. That's Al Collins to OJ. Yeah, that's the dude that when he called, I picked the phone up. I don't do everything he say, but when he called, I picked the phone up.
Right, and I agree.
That's who that dude is. That walked in the room and told him, "Yo, get your ass on the plane, go down there and go get him."
He said, "Everybody get out.
Everybody,
I need to speak to you. Yo, listen, you need to get on a plane, and the first thing you need to say is, I apologize." He said this.
For real,
whoever this person was, they said this to the owner. OWNER, the owner.
I would too.
Cavaliers.
Listen, if
I
can't be, you need somebody that can be real with you, Leaf. You need somebody that can be real with you.
Here's the difference, Leaf. You see him as the check signer. I was around before he was signing checks.
Facts.
I was around before this dude built this building. I was around before he was the owner. This has always been my man. And I introduced him to his wife, right? I did all of this sort of stuff.
Yeah, this
is my dude. So when he walks in the room and he tells him, "Yo, everybody out. I need to talk to you right now."
You know what? The fact that listen,
he's right though. He's right though. If you got that level of respect, yo, listen. If your mans can't tell you that you're wilding, that you're tripping, bro, you need to fix this. Then who gonna tell you, bro?
Leaf, Trump not that dude. Barack Obama has that dude.
Everybody has that
Everybody
guy.
has that dude.
Everybody has that guy,
and
bro.
Dan Gilbert had that. How you think James ended up? How you think James ended up back in Cleveland? Because his crew was like, "Yo, we ain't going back up there.
Leave.
We not going back up there.
Yo, he had to go and apologize, bro.
We not going back up there. No, we not.
Bro, that boy changed life. That boy changed life for that franchise. Hold on. LeBron James changed life for a franchise that was in poverty for years at the age of 18, bro. It's the truth.
I got to realize what I'm dealing with this afternoon. I'm dealing with two individuals that's like, I didn't know, I had no idea a story like this was ever going to spin to the day.
I would have did it if it was Kobe Bryant. I would have said if it was Kobe. I would say it if it's Stephen Curry. I would say if it's Giannis. And I would say it if it's Kevin Durant. It's not just a LeBron agenda. If you have an all-time great player who's been all-time dominant.
This is funny. This
is funny. All I'm asking you to be reasonable for a second, Leaf.
Yeah,
how do you think? I want you to remember how they split. You remember how they split?
I remember
James with the decision and Dan Gilbert with the letter.
Right.
I remember him putting that shit on television.
It was a bad breakup. It was
ugly.
Yeah, it was. I remember him.
So with that being said, Leaf, how do you think that he just decided one day to go down there, and how do you think that thing got? How do you think the wheels got turned on that?
I think, well, from what I've heard, and I don't know if it's true or not, I know the reason why he left Miami.
Okay,
that I know. So if he was going back to if he was going back to Cleveland, a lot of people would tell you, yo, he was going back to Cleveland to begin with because him and Pat Riley had some situation or whatever the situation was, and where else was he going to go? He was going to go back to Cleveland no matter what because he wanted to go back to Cleveland for his own personal reasons or whatever. Now,
honestly, Leaf, and I don't mean to cut you off. I want you to keep going. I don't think he ever wanted to leave, but keep going.
Yeah,
I don't think he ever wanted to leave, but I think it was a situation that came up that kind of like, you know what? Oh, nah, I gotta leave. Yeah,
I ain't talking about Miami. I'm talking about Cleveland. I don't think he ever wanted.
I don't think he ever wanted to leave Cleveland neither. But at the same time, I think certain people in your corner or whatever, you know,
was they going anywhere anytime fast, Leaf?
Who you talking about?
That team he was on, that Cavs team. Because I don't think he wanted to leave either. I think he did what he thought was best for his career, bro.
I mean, yeah, that's being said, but I mean, a lot of people would tell you, man, like, you know, LeBron basically broke down the fourth wall, you know, and made it better for players. And then there's the other half of people that be like, yo, LeBron, you know, took an easy way out. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is
what we doing, Leaf, is we getting off the topic. What I want you to do is I want you to stay reasonable, right? And I want you to remember how this whole thing broke up and how ugly it was, right? So Leaf, I'm your man. And I remember how you and homegirl was when y'all broke up. We ain't talking about something specific because I don't know Leaf like that. But I'm just making an example.
Yeah.
Leaf, I'm your man, and I remember how you and homegirl broke up. It was ugly how y'all broke up. But when y'all were together, it was fantastic.
Right.
And the word, and I'm the dude that you listen to whenever something goes on. And I get word, hey, Leaf, she wants to come home. I'm that bridge to tell you, hey, Leaf, I got word. She wants to come home. And you ain't really doing that good right now. In fact, things are kind of ugly for you right now. Things are kind of ugly for you right now. And the word on the street is, and I got it on good information, Leaf, because I'm your man. Yo, she wants to come home. And when I give you that information, that bridge, now you start to listen like, well, wait a minute. Looking around and I'm seeing what's going on here. How much better things were when she was around.
Facts.
Okay. All right. You know what?
Well, I was eating good. I was eating good. My clothes was washed.
There's one truth. There's one truth about what you said. There's one thing that we know for sure. LeBron James wanted to come back to Cleveland.
Yeah,
we know that for sure.
But I don't ever think he wanted to leave to begin with.
Okay, but
I think he ever wanted to leave.
Miami, we know for a fact, whether it was through fans or whether through media, however we know it, we know he wanted to come back. What we don't know is who was in Dan Gilbert's ear. What we don't know is if Dan Gilbert had a right hand or a left hand, whatever you want to call it, a right hand man that told him, yo, you need to get on this plane and you need to go down there.
Go get your man.
Leaf, you think he just volunteered that? You think he just did that? Are you crazy?
Yeah, Leaf. I think he was consulted on for sure.
We dealing with a fine line of speculation and reality. Right now, we on the speculation side.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, hold on, J-Rock. Keep going, Leaf. We
don't have any proof of this. What we have proof of, what we know is that LeBron wanted to go back. That's all we know. We don't know what happened in them offices with Dan Gilbert. We don't know what right-hand man or what a person close to Dan Gilbert said this, that, and the third that you think that they said. But like I'm saying that you think. You don't believe it, probably, but you think that they said. But that's the only thing we got to go off of. So if I'm in my right mind, listen, and y'all know how I feel about LeBron, and I know how you feel about you and J-Rod feel about LeBron. There's nothing in my distant mind that would think to myself, as good as any right-hand man of an owner that said what he said, and we all know what David Griffin said after they won the championship. We remember that. I ain't gonna get to that, but all of these things. I'm trying to wrap my mind around now, whether it's true or not, that somebody went into Dan Gilbert, that right-hand man that you said, and said, yo, everybody get out. I need to talk to you. Yo, he wants to come home. The first thing you're going to do is get on a plane and you're going to go down there and you're going to apologize. Because I believe Dan Gilbert, like, even though he said what he said, I believe Dan Gilbert meant exactly every 100% what he said.
That's the reason. And that's the reason for the man that you're talking about. Because remember who we talking about, Leaf. We're talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers, who in the 4 years that James was gone, 3 of the 4 years, they had the #1 pick in the draft.
Come on, bro.
They were garbage.
Okay.
Garbage.
We're going to be Sacramento for the next 15 years.
Facts.
Get your ass on a plane and go down there and bring him back. Don't come back.
They were getting better every year. Come on.
Can I add one thing too? Wait, Lee. Can I add one more? Nah, Emmanuel, stop it. You know damn well it wasn't good. Emmanuel, stop it. But Lee, can I say one thing? Because obviously, I want to rotate you in with some other people. Got some other people in the background. But I want to say this to you. I understand what you're saying, but I'm with Chill. I do think there was one of his homies said you need to go apologize. I'm going to tell you why. Because the thing is, Leave you're thinking about like why would he do that after he said all that in the letter? But he's also a billionaire, and people with a lot of money have what? Egos. So if you have this overly inflated ego, you have all this money. I have the power to literally buy ideas from people. I can throw money at all my problems. So who keeps me tethered to reality? I have to have somebody or people in my corner that keep me tethered to reality. And I think he does have somebody that he consults with. And I don't think they may have said verbatim, go get on the plane and apologize like Chill just said. Right. But there probably was a conversation that was, listen, you two need to have a discussion. There needs to be some sort of middle ground because like Chilltown said, we are going to be the Sacramento Kings for the next decade if we don't do something now.
Hey, J-Rock, I got one question for y'all. Now that I'm thinking about it, do y'all think it was his son?
That could be it too. It could have been.
God rest his soul.
God rest his soul. But it could have been.
Passed.
It could have, but it really could have been though. I'm telling you, it could have been.
I remember when they got Kyrie, when they got the draft lottery and they won Kyrie, and then I saw him and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, damn man, that's a hell of a story. He had a disability and everything and all of that, and he lost. I think he passed this year, if I'm not mistaken. His son passed early this year. But if I had to say, if it was one person, I don't think he said what Chill said he said. But if I had to say,
I think it was that intense. To be honest with you, I do. I really think it was that intense. And the reason why I feel like it was that intense because I'm looking at the Cleveland Cavaliers where they were. We're talking about a Cavs team that, if I'm not mistaken, that year that James left, didn't they set the record for the most losses in history? I think they lost like 26 straight games.
I think that was you know what's crazy? They started the season 9-7. And then after that
Dropped
game,
like the next
after
26
that game
with
where
James.
LeBron came
It
back,
went the other way. It
then
just
they
went the other way.
And
I think they lost like 26 straight games. And then the next year, just so you know, Emmanuel, I think they won 2 more games the next year. The next year after that, they improved by 4 games. So in 4 years since James was gone, they went from 19 wins to 33 wins.
I want you to realize something.
All I said is they improved. That's all I said.
I want you to realize something. When it comes to like supposed stories and conspiracies, man, I know a whole lot of people way worse than the ticket. I swear I do, bro. I know a whole lot of people way worse than the ticket. So
all right,
I'm not gonna get on that.
Feel you.
How y'all liking Wemby? How y'all liking Wemby right
He's
now?
the future of basketball.
Yo, he's
crazy.
the future. Yo, he's gonna. I think. Hey, chill. I think he's gonna average like 25 rookie season.
He the future of basketball.
I'm not being crazy.
I think you might have to.
I'm not being crazy, bro. I don't.
Walk that back.
Have to take that hit. Because I think he could average
25, bro. Like, I just don't, chill. I don't know how you stop him. I don't know how you stop him, bro.
And I think he can lead the league in blocks, like I said.
Y'all looking at the offensive side of the basketball. He gonna get 2 blocks a game just off threes.
Yo, he might be a candidate for defensive player of the year this year.
Just off threes. He's gonna get 2 blocks a game.
He's gonna 100% make
the lead the league in blocks.
No, I agree with Leaf. He might lead the league in blocks.
Once again,
a defensive,
the future of basketball.
Yeah, but the only problem that he has, he's just on the wrong team. That's all it says.
No, he ain't. No, he's
not.
The reason why J-Rob, because he ain't on Brooklyn. That's the problem.
He ain't on Brooklyn.
No, this ain't got nothing to do with Brooklyn.
Get out of here, Leaf. Beat it, Leaf. Get out of here, Leaf. No, we love you, Leaf.
We gotta rotate.
We gotta go, Leaf. We gotta go.
We love you. We gotta rotate you out, my brother.
Get out of here, yo.
We gotta rotate you out. My guy, Leaf. Emmanuel, what's up, my brother?
What's up, brother?
Yo, what's up, man? I had a question about the. Y'all hear me, right?
Yeah, we can hear you, boss.
Can carry me?
I got a question about the Lakers, right? So, do you think that they're gonna start off strong, like kind of like the Warriors did, like in 22 when they went like 18-2, some crazy run, or do you think it's gonna be like what they did, last season where they're like 2-10?
No, I don't think it's gonna be that. I don't think they're gonna be garbage to start. No, I don't think that. I don't think that they're gonna be bad to start because this core is back. The difference last year was they didn't have that. James getting rotated in and out the lineup for stretches. I think that's going to be the difference because they're not going to rely on him as much as they did last year. Yeah. I think this team could win 50+ games. Ari, I think this team could win 50+ games. I think Anthony Davis being in some of the best shape that he's been in. I think that they're a top 3 seed in the West. I do.
Yeah,
me personally,
I'm with Chill. Oh, my bad. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll just say because like me personally, they're probably gonna start like I don't think they're gonna be anything crazy like undefeated like 10-0 or something like that. They're probably gonna be like
15-3 or something like that. I don't see them
not like that. They're gonna be like 6-4, like something like that. Like over
10-7. I can get with
that. I actually think they'll come out to a hot start. I think what people are not accounting for with this Lakers team more than anything is the fact that they had so much time together in the off season to really get chemistry with that core. And I think that's going to go a long way. Because you got to remember, a team that got constructed, in February?
Yeah.
Regardless trade deadline. Regardless of getting swept. I know people are going to say, but they got swept. Regardless of getting swept, a team that got created in February at the trade deadline went to a Western Conference Finals without an off season working on the fly. So I'm very curious to see how good this team could be because they have that core is going to be able to gain some continuity. And I really love what D'Angelo Russell said about being Derek White. That if that's his mentality for the entire year, I think he's going to have a crazy improvement. I think Hugh might end up being the third best player on the team if he can have that type of impact. But yeah, bro, I could see them easily first 10 games being like 8-2, 7-3 type of start.
And don't forget too, you also got the in-season tournament that's starting like the beginning.
Oh, here we go with that.
I'm not gonna lie, they dropped the ball with that to me.
I understand what you're talking about, Anwar. I get it, but I'm just not a fan of it. I do understand.
I'm not a fan of it either. I'm not a fan of it either.
Chill, but let me finish. The reason why I mentioned that is because I found out it's going to impact your regular season record. It says unless you're a part of the championship or the NBA Cup, the wins and losses will get added to the regular season. So new games are still important. So those are still games that you want to win, because either way it's going to affect your regular season. So that's what I'm saying.
I could get with that. I'm just not a big fan of the in season.
No.
But I do understand that, and I think that they're going to put some emphasis on it and make them more important. So you may have some teams play a little bit harder. I can get with that.
Yeah, like I agree with you. I think the whole point of that and the whole new CBA was just to get them to play more like the 65 games. So I agree with you. It's pointless, but it's the truth. It does hold some importance when it comes to, rankings and standards. Because we're talking about November to December. That's a whole month of basketball right there.
Right.
So
I'm just thinking about when Charlotte goes on a 5-game win streak and they end up in the play-in tournament championship.
Yeah.
What are we doing, man?
What are we doing, bro? Like, what are we doing
right now? What's going on, man?
I think they should have made a Champions League. I think they should have made a Champions League with basketball. Like, you take the top 3 teams from these other domestic leagues. Maybe you throw them into like a mid-season tournament. They come play in the United States or something. That would have been way more fun to watch. I think, what is to me? I don't understand it, Chill. Like, I don't understand what it like. Is this a legacy mover for players?
No, it's a money grab.
Bro got 3 in-league tournament wins. Yo, how is he not one of the greats? He got 3. It's like
J-Rob. First of all, J-Rob, you think that's nonsense? What you talking about? Just so you know. When the GOAT debate starts,
I know they're going to say
this is going to be a topic of conversation.
I know
that I'm a 3-time in-season cup tournament winner. This is going to be a time. I'm telling y'all right now, this is going to be a topic of conversation.
No, Chill is right though.
He's right.
He's right.
It's going to be a topic of conversation.
You're about to start judging players off how many Magic Johnson.
I'm the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm the Eastern Conference Finals MVP 3 times.
Yeah,
I won the in-season tournament cup 4 times. I'm telling y'all, this is going to be a topic of conversation.
I agree. It's going to start. I think it's going to be so disgusting because we're going to get to a point where we have our GOAT debate. They're like, Wemby the GOAT. He got 10 Western Conference MVPs. Like what?
And then stack that with the Finals MVPs. If he does, win the Finals and MVPs in the future, I'm not saying right now, it's going to get nasty. I kind of wanted to bring something to y'all too. Y'all talking about Terry Stotts, because y'all was talking about it. It kind of like made me think about before Dame got traded there when Giannis was asked about getting a contract extension, and he said he wasn't going to resign right now because he feels like everybody isn't on the same page, and if he's going to resign, he wants it to be like a family. He wants everybody to be on the same page with the same goal in mind. So after y'all talking about what y'all talked about, do y'all think that Giannis could have actually been alluding to Terry Stotts?
Alluding to Terry Stotts, as in like getting him on the crew, or getting him as the head coach, or him?
No. Like saying that there's somebody on board that doesn't have the same goal as the rest of us.
Oh, yeah,
It could be. Yes,
because look, his whole thing was wherever he goes, yes, he wants to contend, but he wants to be with players, and
everybody got to be on the same page. Absolutely, everybody got to be on the same page. And maybe that's a good point, because he may be looking at Terry Stotts. He could have very well went to management and went, I don't know if this dude is with us. He might have his own. He might have his own agenda. I don't know if he's with us.
Add on to that too, Chill, J-Rob, and Emmanuel. When they got Dame, they asked him the question again on the first press conference. Like after they got Dame, and he said the same exact thing. He's gonna see what happens after this season, but everybody has to be on the same page.
Right.
So,
we don't like we guys. We don't like me guys. We like we guys, man.
Well, getting Damian Lillard, it bought. I think they have a 2-year window, but getting Damian Lillard and Anwan, it bought Milwaukee some time, because it did show Giannis that we are serious about winning. And in the process of us being serious about winning, we also trying to get on the same page. So I do think that getting Damian Lillard, I think it did buy them some time. Now, losing Terry Stotts the way that they did, this could go one of 2 ways. This dude might be here for his own personal gain, and that might not be good for the unit.
Right.
So that might be something that Giannis is also looking at now. Like, maybe he ain't good for us.
Right.
And because he ain't good for us, and they ended up having him, because he didn't just walk out the front door. There's there's people that were like, you know what, Terry, maybe this ain't the best place for you.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So as an organization, they took the steps forward to also show Giannis that we're trying to get on the same page.
Yeah.
I think this is a
And that's
2-year
why I say
window.
that, because
No, I agree.
it's say if he did stay and say the things I was talking about still going on throughout the season. I think I'm not saying it would have happened. I'm saying based on what Giannis is saying, if he really is true to what he's saying, there could have been a chance that he could have left because of that.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. Sure.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Absolutely.
Nah, yeah, you can't. You gotta cut the cancer out of your locker rooms, man.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna be honest, you have to, because that comes back to haunt you. You feel me? Like, that's really a life thing too. Get those people out your life too. Them people who
J-Rob,
secretly sabotage.
I know. I know.
Oh, actually, matter of fact, hold on, let me add one more to Fernand. Do you want to, Chill? Do you want to talk about the James Harden situation? That he bringing it up?
Yeah.
So obviously you understand, you see what's going on with James Harden. Chill, we'll start off with you and your thoughts. Everything that's go first. Go first. Your thoughts on the situation.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing that Anwan just got finished talking about. Yeah. So we trying to do something and we trying to get on the same page, but we do have this one problem, and this one problem is James Harden. Who is about James Harden? James Harden is about trying to get paid.
Yeah.
And if we moving forward, so you got vets on the team in PJ, in Embiid, in Tobias Harris. We got a young guy in Maxey, who I'm on record saying I was comfortable letting James Harden walk out the front door, and I wanted to give the ball to Maxey.
I agree.
I was comfortable doing that. Before he signed that 2-year extension, I was comfortable letting him walk out the front door because I wanted to give the ball to Maxey, because I felt like he could be I felt like he could be a future league guard. So with that being said, this whole James Harden fiasco is him now disrupting another unit. And like you just said, J-Rob, we got to cut the cancer out. Is James Harden a cancer? He's bad for the unit. Let's just say that. From what's going on right now, he is bad for what we're trying to do, because it's obvious that he ain't with us. It's obvious that he is not with us. And because he's not with us, it's probably in our best interest to move on from him. Now, we'll tell you this, J-Rob. Daryl Morey, he does not work for James Harden. He works for the Philadelphia 76ers.
Exactly.
And he has to do what's in the best interest of the 76ers. So if James Harden wants to get moved to the Clippers, we will do everything we can in our power to do that. However, if this deal does not work for us, we're not doing it, which would explain why it hasn't happened yet.
I agree, especially with the trade that was at hand too, because what was the original deal was 2 regular first round picks. It didn't have to be protected on that, just like regular. And then we put Terrence Mann in it because we thought that was fair. We was originally going to add some Norman Powell, but that was the 6-man, the 20-point per game scorer. So we was like, okay, Terrence Mann, because if you look, except for recently, for the most part, they don't use him that much. So we thought that was a fair deal. But the Clippers, they didn't really agree with that. And the reason why I say that is because that's how all that started. Because the reason why James Harden is calling Daryl Morey a liar is because we didn't trade him. But Daryl and Chill, I've seen you actually talk about this on the panel. It wasn't that Daryl Morey lied. If you've seen, he tried when he requested a trade. He was trying to trade him.
He did. He did.
Nobody wanted him. So
when not at that price, not at the price. Nobody wanted him at that price. That was the problem. And again, I'm on record saying this, that when you in business, because that's what this is. Yeah, this is a business transaction. Yeah, hey, Rob, you got to do your job too.
We already talked about this. We already on the same page, bro. Yeah. How long till you become more trouble than you're worth? I still have a job to do as a general manager. What is my job? Like, Anwar, you're a Sixers fan, right?
Yeah.
You can care less who's on the team as long as y'all hoisting up that trophy at the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
If a trophy meant y'all got to give up Embiid, I don't think you're not giving up Embiid for the trophy. You know what I'm saying?
Winning it, if you could tell me you're winning it,
if I'm telling you you're winning it,
but how come Harden doesn't understand that though? That this is just business.
Because
this isn't something that
because you got to remember the ego part of it, boss. Yes. Like you got to remember, these are multi-millionaires. This is a guy who has averaged 35 in this league, a guy who has been a first-team All-NBA performer, a guy who has been an MVP of this league. So his standards and how he looks at himself is way different than most. Like, you can't just tell a guy that's been the lead guy for a majority of his career to just take a step back. Then not only tell him to stay with, take a step back, you tell him to take less money, things of that nature. It becomes a problem. And like Chilltown alluded to, he thinks that Daryl Morey works for him. Daryl Morey worked for the 76ers. So as much as they may have had a handshake conversation, do you know how many handshake conversations in business don't mean nothing?
They mean zero.
Because they mean zero. I want y'all to know that. If you have see a handshake conversation, they don't mean anything because it's not in ink. If it ain't in ink, that don't mean it's for sure supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And James Harden pretty much was banking on a handshake conversation to go in, and clearly, as you can see, is having honestly, and where in my opinion, I feel like y'all will still make it to at least the same heights without James Harden.
No.
But he has to know that by him doing all this drama, he's cutting the potential pool for him to get more money. What team's going to want to pay him a crap ton of money to break down and underperform the playoffs?
Got to bring some other people up.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but and I actually want to bring this up to y'all too. I'm gonna do some more intel on this, but something caught my eye that before Harden actually resigned here, there was actually a chance that he was actually going to go back to Houston, that they offered him a contract.
We talked about this too.
A max contract,
a max deal, a max deal.
And he was talking about being that scoring leader again. And email said, we don't want that. We're actually trying to build something here, so you can go on with that. So, in a sense, that's not Daryl Morey's fault. Nobody told him to resign. Nobody told him to talk himself out of his own mind.
Fernandez said that why doesn't James Harden understand this? I think that we're leaving out the part that Daryl Morey and James Harden have an extensive history.
Extensive, bro.
They do. They are really good friends.
So with these guys having an extensive history that they have, things do get personal. Kobe Bryant played 20 years for the Lakers. You think it was just business between him and Jerry West?
Nah.
You think it was just business between him and Dr. Buss?
No.
I'm eating dinner at your house. Right? It's not just business. So to your point about, why doesn't James Harden understand this? When Daryl Morey tells him, I'm going to get you paid, he's heard that before from Daryl Morey. Yeah. And Daryl Morey has delivered every time.
So it's like your homeboy promising you something.
Not your homeboy. No. Your homeboy. That's just my homeboy. This is family.
Yeah, this is my uncle, bro. This is my uncle, yo.
Who's come through for me in the past.
It's different.
Plenty of times. Yeah. And the same thing I did for you in Houston, I'm going to do it again in Philly. Only except the Philly brass looking at him like, no, we ain't doing that. And you know why we not doing that? Because we're in the same space that we were 2 years ago. Let me tell you something, Fernandez. If the Philadelphia 76ers was in the Eastern Conference Championship this last summer, you just saw James Harden's name on the contract for 4 years.
Facts, bro. They would have signed him, bro.
Too,
100%.
It's not just that, too. It's also Maxey and Embiid, because Maxey's also eligible for an extension. And then in 2 years, Embiid is going to be eligible for at least, I believe, it's $500 million
going to
for that year being the highest paid player.
Embiid coming here.
I can see that happening.
So you also got to think about all the guys that we're going to have to pay, which is going to cut our roster thin. So do you really think we want to take a chance on that? But
I mean, it depends. I think it depended on the results of last season.
Yeah.
Chill hit on the nose. If y'all would have been, and honestly, bro, if y'all were, let's say y'all went to the Eastern Conference Finals, lost, but y'all took it to 6 or 7 games. I think you look at this situation and say, let's run this thing back.
We ain't the same team.
We ain't
not the same team.
Philly's screwed regardless because they got this James Harden situation. Plus, Embiid might not want to stay in Philly next year because it's not like they're going to go to the finals.
Fernandez, I already know where he's going.
I'm just out on Embiid.
He's going to the Knicks. They're screwed in both. They're screwed.
I think Embiid for now is going to stay. And even
Philly's just
2 years but this might be a blessing for us because I think to the midst of everything, we will finally look at Tyrese Maxey. And like Chill said, finally give him the green light. I've been saying for the past 2 years.
I like it.
Maxey deserves a bigger. I remember I used to have this conversation with my friends. I have friends that are Sixers fans, and they thought I was crazy when I said I think Tyrese could be like our second scoring option, kind of like how not on the same tier, obviously, but you know how Shaq he was setting opposing force down there, and Kobe he was the guy controlling and speeding up the game. You know what I'm talking about, Chill and Jay and Ness. And I think Tyrese could be that for Embiid, because if you look at it, the person who switches up the tempo for us on this team is Maxey. We need Maxey. It's apparent we need him. He is the yin to the yang in terms of Embiid. We need that. We can't lose that. And that's what I'm saying.
I mean, I will say this though. You know, me and Chill said it yesterday. Y'all still have to get more production out of Embiid.
Embiid. I was gonna say, why are we not talking about Embiid?
Really because the conversation
get in shape.
Because the conversation was about James Harden. But outside of that, you know, Embiid hasn't been off the hook. Obviously, fellas, I still want to continue this because me and Chill got another topic we still have to get to. So I gotta rotate some of y'all out. So I gotta rotate some of y'all out.
All right, Dan. Well, good to talk to you, brother.
Good to talk to you.
All right, see y'all. You have a good one, Chill.
See you later, bro.
Yes, sir, brother. No doubt.
Ness and 6. You got one for us before?
What up?
Yeah, man. We talking about Harden, man. I seen this coming, man. He was a part of my team. He ruined it. So
I don't think he ever wanted to be in Brooklyn. I think he got talked into that situation.
Yeah,
I don't think he ever wanted to be there.
I didn't want him there as a fan, so
I
thought our team was way better without him. So, you know,
I don't think he ever wanted to be there. I think he got talked into coming to Brooklyn, and it was obvious how with the dynamic with the crew. I mean, Kevin Durant is on record saying, "I didn't realize how bad a shape he was in." He was on record. Yeah, he on record saying this. So, I mean, we're talking about a James Harden who, over the last 3 years, this is going to be his third team in 3 years, and he's 34 years old, and he's not getting any younger.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong, he's still a 20-10 guy. Still a 20-10 guy. But with Philadelphia, last season was supposed to be the year to get past where they were. That was supposed to be the difference, and it wasn't.
Yeah. I think a lot of that has to go on Embiid too, though. I think Harden is a lot to blame for that. But Embiid consistently not being healthy for the playoffs, like that's a problem, bro.
I understand him being beat up, right? I mean, against Toronto, he gets his face broken. Okay, that was inadvertent. So there's really not much we can do about that. I mean, last year he had a torn. I think he had a torn meniscus.
He had a torn meniscus.
He had a torn meniscus in his knee. So, I mean, maybe I just got to accept that Embiid, in terms of his body, like this is who he is. But he's healthy now. Can he stay healthy? I'm out on Philly. I want to make sure that we're clear. I'm out. I'm out on Philly. I've seen everything that I need to see from Philly. I feel the same way about the 76ers as I do about the Clippers. I'm out on Philly. I'm out because I know because I know that it's once we get far along into this, the inevitable is going to happen because I've seen it so many times. Unless you prove me otherwise, this is what it is.
I think the difference though with the Clippers compared to the Sixers is they have people to where they can supplement their losses. The Sixers don't have that. Like they have a really deep roster. So if they lose Kawhi or PG, I think they're okay, to be honest.
But are they okay? Like you just said, they're okay. Okay, in what sense? Like they're a playoff team? What is this?
Yeah, they're a playoff team. I mean, they can.
Let's just say for the sake of argument. Let's just say for the sake of argument that's true. So what did Kawhi Leonard and Paul George go to the Clippers for? What was the point of them going there?
That's right. Yeah, you get a
championship.
That's right. Yeah.
Bro, that's what it's all about. Can we win championships or not? You know, like people, like I don't be understanding why people as fans be just okay with being competitive. Chill. Like I don't just want to be competitive.
I mean, but like you can't win a championship every year.
Well, here's the thing, J-Rob.
No, you can't. But you can be able to put yourself in the best opportunity that it can happen for you.
Right. Yeah. And if you're building a unit like what Cleveland is doing, and you're competitive, and you building a unit to get to a championship one day, that's different than the Finals MVP and the first team All NBA and All League defender decided to get out of his contract and he wants to come to Los Angeles. We get both of these dudes on our crew. What's the expectation? We immediately go from, all right, we're trying to turn it into a competitive team to, yo, we got to win it now. We have to.
Yeah.
And they haven't come close to that.
Yeah. No, that's my thing. Like, I'm with Chill. Like, bro, I'm never like, I'm all about making moves in order to win the championship. And I agree with Chill. You got to get a lot of things right. You got to get a little bit lucky. You need a lot of things to go correct. Yeah. But you still have to form your team to put yourselves in the best opportunity to at least give you a chance if y'all get there. You know what I'm saying? Or at least, because, you know, you don't ever know. You might have a guy on your team that may get hot. You just never know. Somebody on another team may get hurt. But your team needs to be constructed well enough where once we get to that second, conference finals, finals
push
territory,
through.
we can deliver. Yeah, we can push through to deliver. That's why I'm like, yo, people, I don't understand lateral moves, in my opinion. I'll never understand lateral moves because you don't make you better. But we got one more topic, so I gotta rotate you out. We appreciate you coming on with us.
Brother.
Yes, sir.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Make
brother.
sure y'all watch
that
UFC fight today, y'all.
Yes, sir. We got you.
Yes,
I'm taking Khabib. All right.
Ooh, no. All right.
Take Khabib. Take Khabib. All right.
I am gonna watch that undercard with Usman.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that too.
I'm gonna watch the
Usman's fighting tonight too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm watching that. Yeah,
I'm gonna watch the undercard with Usman.
So our final topic before we go, Andre Iguodala announces his retirement from basketball after 19 seasons. What are your thoughts on that? And what are your thoughts on his legacy as a player? Is he a Hall of Famer?
I think he's in the conversation to be a Hall of Famer. And I know that a lot of people think that's ridiculous, but when you think about what the Hall of Fame is, it's the basketball Hall of Fame. It's not the pro basketball Hall of Fame. It's the overall basketball Hall of Fame. So we talk about a guy, an Andre Iguodala, who showed up in 2004. Before he showed up in 2004, he was an All-American at the University of Arizona. He was on the Olympic team. Not only was he on the Olympic team, won the Finals MVP, made the All-Star team. I think he made the All-League defensive team also, played 19 years in the NBA. So he was one of the better young small forwards in the game. Right. He was one of the better young small forwards in the game when he was playing. So he had one of those games. I remember when he showed up to Philly, because I was a big Glenn Big Dog Robinson fan. He ended up beating he ended up beating Big Dog out for the small forward spot in Philly. And that's how he ended up getting that spot when he was with Iverson. So I was a big Dog fan, and to see him beat him out, I was like, wow, Iggy might be something serious when he gets to the pros. And he was a solid pro, man. He was. And for a lot of years, he had a really good mid-range game, exceptional athlete, right? He developed the long ball in his game. Actually was one of the integral parts on that Philadelphia team that went to the playoffs in the early 2010s. So Iggy, I think, and once he got on that Golden State Warriors team, I mean, he propelled them to a different height because he was what they were missing. That other wing defender, that other wing athletic player that they didn't have. So once he got him, I mean, he turned them into a different unit. So I'm digging Iggy. I'm digging Iggy retiring and being one of the best. Definitely.
Oh man. Okay. For me, I gotta be honest. I'm kind of with Deion Sanders when it comes to these Hall of Fames.
Yep.
I think there needs to be two levels to the Hall, like a super Hall and then a regular Hall, or like a NBA or a basketball Ring of Honor. I think there should be a football Ring of Honor, and then there's the Hall of Fame. Now, if there's a Ring of Honor, I'll put Iguodala in the Ring of Honor. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because look, I understand we live in a world where, it is the basketball Hall of Fame. So it's not just your NBA career, it's the totality of your career. However, it is just way too easy to get into the Hall. And I think, honestly, I know this sounds messed up, but there needs to be a bit of a curve for American players.
Right.
Because if I were to put in a European player in the Hall of Fame for their career, to me, it's a little different because they've been playing pro basketball probably since they were 16. They've been playing against adults since they were 16 in FIBA World Cups at the pinnacle before they even got to the NBA. And obviously, they had to do a lot of things in the NBA. But when I look at Iguodala's career and I compare him to like the top upper echelon of players to play basketball,
right?
He's had a great career, but it don't stack up to some of the top guys that have ever done it. Like, I don't even think his career stacks up to against maybe even I don't know. Like,
right. Well, I understand what you. Well, first of all, let's be clear. Pro basketball is the only sport that doesn't have a Hall of Fame. There's Pro Football Hall of Fame, Pro Baseball Hall of Fame, Pro Hockey Hall of Fame. So there's a college basketball Hall of Fame. There's a college football Hall of Fame, which Iggy is not in, by the way. So if we're doing it that way, I would like to see the NBA come up with a pro basketball Hall of Fame.
That's what I want.
I would love to see that, where we're only dealing with you as a pro. And now we're talking about something completely different. Now, when you're talking about tiers, right? When you're talking about tiers, don't get me wrong. When we're all in the Hall of Fame, there are different levels to this.
Yeah.
Deion Sanders is not on the same page as a Hall of Famer.
As a Terry Bradshaw, why? Like they're not in the same sentence.
Right.
Not in the same sentence.
Eli Manning is going to make the Hall of Fame. Eli Manning is not on the same. Is not in the same stratosphere with his brother.
No,
he's not.
No, he's not.
He's not on the same strategy. And then don't get me wrong, I was a big Eli Manning fan.
Yeah.
But I don't. The fact that you won the Super Bowl twice, Eli Manning was not better than Dan Marino. You can't give me legit logic to tell me that Eli Manning was better than Dan Marino.
I don't think Dan Marino's a Hall of Famer.
See that
I don't like you. To me, you have to like Eli Manning gonna have 2 Super Bowl MVPs under his belt, regardless of having a 500 all-time wins or loss record.
Right.
He has 2 phenomenal Super Bowl runs, and he's a 2-time champ, 2-time Finals MVP, and was integral, was the driving force for those two rings. Look, I love Dan Marino. I think he's one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever do it. I think what he did in his era, his ability to throw for yards and having 5,000 yards in the era in which he played in, 100% a big deal. But I personally don't think he's a Hall of Famer. You don't have to agree with that opinion.
Is it winning? Is it winning?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I figured. I figured the win.
To me, a Hall of Fame careers can't. And we're talking about quarterbacks. You understand?
Right.
Like I'm talking about. I would never grade a quarterback on the same ledger that I would grade a wide receiver and other skill positions. I think quarterbacks as a whole have a different standard of criteria in order to be considered the greats of the greats. And I just feel like Dan Marino, as great as his accumulative numbers are, they're phenomenal accumulative numbers. I could honestly say, if you know your history, if Warren Moon was put in the same situation, he's probably putting up the same level of numbers. But if you don't win a Super Bowl or you don't win any championships, I do think it tarnishes your
legacy. Sure, but with that being said,
this is only for quarterbacks. Though.
Didn't we just say that winning the championship, a lot has to go your way, and the fact that Dan Marino I think Dan Marino, when he retired, I think he was in the top 3 or the top 5 all time in yards in NFL history. So we're talking about a guy. I think the Dolphins was in the AFC Championship. I think they was in the AFC Championship in the 15. Well, the years that he got there in 83, right? He got there in 83. So from 83 to like 90, I think 94, I think they was in the AFC Championship 5 times or something like that. Yeah. So they were clearly competitive in the AFC, but they were also in a nightmare of an AFC with Cincinnati, with Buffalo, with teams like that. And they really didn't do anything to shore that up. The offense was fantastic. We already know that. But when you're talking about the best quarterbacks of the era, after Joe Montana, like he was better than Jim Kelly. He was better than Dan Fouts.
Yeah.
He was better than Boomer Esiason. He was better than Warren Moon. And I'm a big-time Warren Moon fan. But I tell you what, Russell Wilson is going to the Hall of Fame. You can't give me legit logic.
No.
I'm telling you, I know you don't want to hear that. But Russell Wilson is going to the Hall of Fame. And he was not better than Randall Cunningham. No, he wasn't.
No. Russell Wilson is not a Hall of Famer. He's not a Hall of Famer. He's not a Hall of Famer. Listen, there's a lot of guys I don't think are Hall of Famers. I don't think Troy Aikman is a Hall of Famer. I don't think Tracy McGrady is a Hall of Famer. For those who won't, I don't think Vince Carter is a Hall of Famer. Listen, to go to the Hall of Fame, and I don't care if people get upset about this, but to go to the Hall of Fame, you have to be incredible. Like Russell Westbrook, he's a Hall of Famer to me. He averaged a triple-double in the NBA for 4 years, won an MVP. That's something that's never been done. We've never seen it. We only saw it happen once, and we thought that was the standard. He did it 4 times, led the NBA in scoring and assists. That's a feat that is Hall of Fame worthy. I don't think Russell Wilson has any feats that are Hall of Fame worthy. Finishing top 4 in an MVP a few times, being carried by one of the greatest defenses of all time, and when the show is yours not to be dominant. I think Marino was an incredible football player, one of the best players to ever do it. He's in the Hall of Fame, and I'm cool with him being in the Hall of Fame if that's how you feel. But personally, for me, I don't think he still was able to get over the hump. I love the numbers. I love his ability to throw the football, but I don't think that. like I don't think T-Mac's a Hall of Famer, bro. I don't. But he is. I don't think think Vince Carter is a Hall of Famer, but he is. And honestly, you could just say my standards are just a little too high, and that's okay. I can be hated for having considerably high standards. Listen, I want to go one day in my life. My dream is to be in the Sports Media Hall of Fame at some point in my life. Mm-hmm. But if I get inducted, I think there's a lot of things that I'm going to specifically have to do in my life to be awarded that honor.
Right.
I have to have a long career on TV. Yeah. I have to produce projects that are literally have, of course, some sort of magic.
The bar is higher when you're talking about being with the best of the best.
I have to compare myself to the best, and so that's how I feel.
I mean, when you talk about a guy in Russell Wilson, he did win the Super Bowl, and he did play in the Super Bowl again. So, and he was carried by that. I think that the NFC Championship game. Didn't he throw 3 interceptions in that game, if I'm not mistaken? I'm just saying. But when I think about him, and I think about, like you just said, winning matters, J-Rob. So if you're going to say that, that's why Dan Marino is not in, you got to say the same thing. You got to say why Russell Wilson is in, because he did win.
But the thing is, listen. When it comes to winning, Terry Bradshaw got 4 of them things. Yeah. I think you got to win and you have to have production. It got to be a little bit of both. And obviously, when Russ won his Super Bowl, there's a reason why he wasn't looked at as like the driving engine for that Super Bowl. This is like me saying J.R. Smith is a Super Bowl champ, is a Hall of Famer because he got a championship. I believe that it is the production and then the winning. I think it is both. Listen, I know I think my opinions may be too strong when it comes to the winning, because I don't think it's not a winning bias. It's a winning to put you as an all-time great. I think winning matters. I think winning matters when it talks to, and as much as many people on Players' Choice that listen to me, that hear me talk about winning, they always elude my actual point when I talk about winning. Right. When you're trying to consider yourself an all-time great player, I will always look at the winning factor, because I've already assumed the production, but how did you impact winning games? And I think that will always matter to me. That could be unfair, but that matters. And I also think you could have feats in your career. I don't think every player is going to win a championship deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Oh. Don't get me wrong. You just have to do enough. Like Russell Westbrook did something that was just unimaginable. We didn't even think it was possible until he did it 4 times. Right. That's a Hall of Fame worthy thing. He's also been to a finals, whether they won or not. He's been to conference finals. Those things matter. I'm cool if Russell Wilson is a Hall of Famer to you. This is my opinion on it. Right. That's all.
So
participation. My bad. I didn't even cut you off. My thing is, I think we live in a generation where people are cool with participation over getting things done. That's
production matters. 100% production matters. And a guy like Russell Wilson, a guy like Dan Marino, guys that have gone deep into the playoffs, and Russell Wilson is one. So, like you just mentioned, impact and winning. I mean, Andre Iguodala impacted winning. He might not have been 25 a game, but he did impact winning. So when you're gonna add things like that, in addition to the other things that he did, getting on the championship unit. Now we can talk about a guy being better as an individual player. I'm off that train. And the reason why I'm off that train is because, number one, we've individualized basketball. Right. We've individualized basketball to more of a one-on-one game, which makes me nuts. And the reason why it makes me nuts is because I have seen better basketball players get outplayed. And one of the guys that I talk to all the time has said to me, well, if a better basketball player gets outplayed, that doesn't mean he's not better. Well, that's why winning matters. When you're talking about going up the list and you're talking about being an all-time great, because winning matters. And if you are a better basketball, when you're talking about you being better at basketball than somebody else, but you get outplayed and that person won, that matters. Absolutely, that matters. So
listen, I might just be a hard critic, bro. I just think to go into a hall,
when I think about the Hall of Fame, J-Rob, we're talking about, I don't think I think that's a narrative that was made up. J-Rob, we're talking about over 5,000 players have played in the NBA history. Only 166 or 170 guys.
Only a few get in
NBA history are in the Hall of Fame. That's it. I think that's like 1%. And now
1%.
what you want to do, J. Rob, is
I want the 0.5. I want the
right.
0.5.
No, you want to go even lower than that. You want to go to the 0.1%. Because as good as you dudes are, no. And I'll be honest with you, there's some guys that I've seen that's in all of fame. I'm like Dave DeBuscher. You could go Bill Bradley. I'm good. I'm straight on guys like that. But like, I'm straight.
Listen, I'm cool, and this is my thing. I just think more guys should be in the Ring of Honor for their teams more than they should be Hall of Famers for the entirety of their careers. That's all I'm saying. Some guys should just be Ring of Honor guys, and some guys need to be Hall of Fame guys. And that it's just where I'm at. And look, you can also be like, for example, Joe Thomas for the Browns, generational loser in terms of his wins and loss records. One of the greatest offensive linemen ever played a game. And if you just look at his numbers, it's ridiculous. So
right.
But and then look, this is why I say people take what you say out of context. Boy Wonder, I gotta shout him out for this. LJ Rob, how you mess with participation trophies, but your king participated in 10 finals and won 4.
Boy Wonder, I got a question for you, Boy Wonder.
This makes people look so dumb. Like it's a dumb thing to say.
I got a question for you, Boy Wonder. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that we don't have a 4-6 record. He went to 10 NBA finals. You, as a basketball fan, let's take out who he played. You saw a guy go to 10 NBA finals. How many do you expect him to win? Of the 10 that he went to, and I'm not even talking about, he had to play against the Warriors. I'm just talking about a guy going to 10 finals, going to the NBA championship 9 times in 10 years, and 10 finals always, and accumulatively. So in that time, how many do you actually expect him to win? And be honest with me.
Yeah, like some people want him to go 10-0 for real.
Because that's not because again, is that realistic?
Bro,
to think that a
championships and they're talking about participation.
You know how hard it is to get to the NBA? Forget getting to the NBA championship. You know how hard it is to get to the playoffs, to get to the NBA? You know how hard it is to get there? There is a generation of kids, J-Rob, that don't know the NBA Finals without James in it.
Nah, for real.
That don't know the NBA Finals without James in it. There's a generation of kids that'll tell you, yo, from the 3rd grade, so my senior year in high school, LeBron James in the NBA Finals.
LeBron James in the NBA Finals.
And they don't know nothing. They don't know anything else.
No,
right?
I get it.
They don't know anything else. So the idea that this dude did something like that, I don't. J-Rob, you've seen me already, J-Rob. I take damn good care of myself.
Yes,
facts. I feel like I'm a pretty healthy dude.
You are.
I don't think I'm gonna be around to see a dude go to the NBA championship 9 times in 10 years.
I think you might.
I don't think I'm gonna see that again, J-Rob.
His name is Victor Wemby.
I would be floored if I saw that again in my lifetime. I would be floored, J-Rob. So that's all I'm gonna say.
I think Wembanyama might be that. Yo, chill. Before we go, chill. This kid, I know we talked about him 2 days ago. But then I watched another preseason game again. I've been watching this kid's preseason games with a magnifying glass. Chill. I just don't know what I'm watching. It is Compound V.
I know what I'm watching.
His parents gave him Compound V.
I know exactly what I'm watching.
Wembanyama I think he might average 25 to start his career, bro.
I know exactly what I'm watching. I'm watching basketball revolutionized. I'm watching basketball where he is the future of the game. J-Rob, I want you to make sure that you write this down. I want you to put this in your mental Rolodex. Everybody, when I say Victor Wembanyama is the future of basketball. What I mean when I say this is in the next 10 to 15 years, this is what basketball is going to look like. It's going to be a bunch of 6'10" to 7'2", 7'3", ridiculously skilled, ball handling, jump shooting, long ball shooting, athletic guys. This is what it's going to be. Now, the logic is, well, there's not going to be that many 7-footers that's playing in the NBA. Just so you know, there's a plethora of 7-footers playing in the NBA right now. Yeah. But because of Victor's skill set, the same logic that happened with James when he saw Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and James Harden. I got to put the long ball in my game. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to stick around. Right. We live in a time where you either evolve or you die. These guys, what you see with Victor Wembanyama, what you see with Chet, that's the future of basketball. And these 7-footers that's walking around in the NBA, this is what you're going to have to be able to do, or you're not going to survive. That's what the NBA is about to become.
Yo, Chilltown, can I ask you a real question about this kid? How many centers in the NBA right now are actually better than him, in your opinion?
At the 5 spot.
At the 5 spot, like if you could really take centers over him, like I think I could only name 2, and I said, and I honestly, after watching Joel Embiid's motor, I might just take my chances on the Wemby kid. I'm dead serious on. So I will go. The only one is Jokic.
Anthony Davis, who played the 5, Joker, Embiid, Bam, Cat, DeAndre Ayton.
You would take Cat over him?
DeAndre Ayton. These are the 5 men. These are the 5 men I'm thinking about. These are the 5 men that I'm thinking about. These are the 5 men that I'm thinking about right now. But J-Rob, I'm not going to do is I'm not going to throw this guy. I remember when Shaq got drafted. Shaq was the future of basketball, but he's still coming in. He wasn't better than Dave Robinson. He wasn't better than Brad Daugherty. He wasn't better than Ewing. He wasn't better than Olajuwon. He wasn't better than a lot of these guys, but he became that. Vic, on the other hand, Vic is going to become that, barring injuries. I can't say it enough, J-Rob. He is the future. He is the future of basketball.
He is.
I said this 6 months ago. I said this 8 months ago when I first laid eyes on him. I said that's the future of basketball right there. This is what the NBA is going to look like in the next 10 to 15 years. That's going to be it.
Bro, they gave this boy, once I saw this boy do a DHO 1 dribble pull up 3 at 7'3", I said, Lord have mercy, what is going on?
J-Rob, he's going to average 2 blocks just from blocking 3-point shots. Just from that alone. Just from contesting 3-point shots, I think he's going to average 2 blocks a game just from blocking shots at the long ball line.
Somebody asked, is there any chance we could see a quadruple double from Vic over under? At least one in his career, one quadruple double in his career.
You may be able to see it.
Shout out to one of our members, Tony. Tony, it could happen. It could definitely happen.
You may be able to see
a 10 block game. 10 blocks, 10 rebounds, 20 plus points. I can see it. I could definitely see the quadruple double. Chill. Anything you want to touch on before we go? Because
we good, man. Yeah, yes, we good. Yeah, we good.
To the chat, we appreciate y'all chopping it up with us.
I think we got a super chat. Do we have a super chat?
We got one. Yeah, we got one. We got one from one of our members. Shout out to Max Chains. Yep. So what's good, fellas? Wemby looked incredible last night. Okay. That's why I brought him up. He looked incredible last night. Chill, this kid is special.
Yeah, he is.
I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Chill, I appreciate you for subbing me in, Coach.
Absolutely.
And, to the chat, I apologize about my Hall of Fame criteria.
Don't apologize for that. No, that's what we're doing around here. We don't apologize for stuff like that. Absolutely not. We don't. Yes, hey, Bob, I gotta tell you, Bob, you better get them ankles taped up and you better get right because my man coming for your spot. I know we got a super sub over here, but yo, my man coming for your spot. That's all I gotta say. So what I'm saying to you folks, man, put a suit on, drink some water. Don't drink and drive. Call your mother. Until then, take it light, but take